And now it's time for the Michelle Dawn Mooney Show.
Hello, hello, hello. I want to make sure that I can hear you. How are you? Happy September. I am so excited that you are here tonight because we've got a lot of things going on, like a lot of things going on. First of all, it is September. To me, it's fall. Once September 1st hits, I feel like, all right, let's get the boots out. Like fall is here. So I'm excited to hear what you guys are up to. I will pull up the comments here, but I'm so happy to have you tonight because there's some big things happening with the show. We are kind of taking some steps forward to do a few fun things, and I can't wait to share that with you. So tonight, I want to give you a little rundown of what you're going to hear and see. We've got a very special guest. Jacob Young is joining me. I want to put applause for that. Jacob Young, you know him from All My Children, General Hospital, Bold and the Beautiful. He's also been in a lot of independent films. He really is just so unbelievably talented. He's also a musician. We may or may not be hearing him sing tonight. We will. I'm just going to tell you, we will. So he's going to be joining me. I also have one of my favorite transitional recipes I'm going to share with you summer into fall that I think you guys are going to love. And then I'm going to tell you about some cool things that you can now see on the website and social media with the show. And I'm really excited about that. So hi, Bunny. How are you? How is everybody? Let me know in the comments. It has been one of those weeks. I feel like everybody is a little off because of Labor Day. Am I the only one who feels like that? Like today felt like I thought Monday was Saturday and then Tuesday seemed like Sunday. I'm all out of whack. So if you're feeling that, please let me know. Hi, Mom. Hi, Fran. So everybody's doing good. Fran's doing good. Good. So Bunny says, I'm a big General Hospital fan. Used to watch All My Children. I'm telling you, Jacob is so ridiculously talented. He's such a nice guy. Such a nice guy. I can't wait for you to hear this interview, see this interview. I will tell you now. Should I tell you? No, I'm just going to let it wait. I'm going to tell you later. All right, so you're going to hear from Jacob. We're going to hear more about some things that are coming up for the fall season of the Michelle Dawn Mooney Show, and I'm really, really excited to share that with you. So I'm happy that you're here for the ride. Buckle up, stay tuned. We've got some really cool things hopefully you're going to like tonight. And let me know in the comments what you're liking, what piques your interest as we go along, because I think you're really, really going to enjoy this. This interview surprised me. It was not what I expected in a good way, in a really good way. Not that I thought it was going to be something bad or something that wasn't exciting, but it was so much more. So I'm excited for you to hear from Jacob. He has a new podcast also called Real Conversations, which is fantastic. And I will definitely encourage you to listen to his podcast. You're going to hear more about that in the interview. But let's get to Jacob. As I said, we're going to have a performance from Jacob at the end of the show. So you definitely want to stay tuned for that. And some exciting things along the way that I think you are going to enjoy. So here we go. Here is Jacob Young. I cannot wait for you to meet my next guest. Well, first of all, if you're a soap opera fan, you will definitely know him. But even if you're not, you will know him. He's been in so many things. He's been on Broadway. He has won an Emmy, been nominated 5 times. He is a producer. He's an actor. He is a singer. He also is a really cool family guy, and I can't wait to hear his story. So without further ado, please welcome my guest, Jacob Young. Hi, Jacob.
Hey, Michelle. Thank you so much for having me on.
I'm so excited that you're here because you have some really cool, exciting projects that people may not be aware that you're involved in. We all know what we've seen you in, but I can't wait for people to hear what you're working on now. So before we go into that, let's backtrack a little bit. Where did it start? How old were you? Where were you at when you thought, you know what, I think I want to do this acting thing?
Yeah. Well, it started very young, whether I knew what I was doing or not. My dad had an old Chevy pickup truck that didn't have a radio in it. And my dad would always play harmonica. And I just loved hearing him play harmonica. So I wanted to learn how to play harmonica. That was really the first entertainment portion of my as far back as I can go. And from there, it went into singing in choir because I wanted to sing. I started in the 6th grade in choir, doing everything from men's ensemble to concert choirs, you name it. And if there was any kind of musical theater program that was going on, I was involving myself in that. I learned to play guitar by myself without any instruction so I could learn to sing to the guitar. And that's really kind of what started it. But really where the professional aspect ended up coming in was just before college. I obviously was still performing in school, and I was getting ready to go to college, UCLA. And I decided I was going to get a commercial agent to try to do some auditions to make an extra little scratch on the side so I could pay for college. And I ended up taking my resume, and I tell all the different students and people, young aspiring actors that come up under, mentoring them, you have to, it's a lot of hard work. And I literally went around and I brought my resume to every single agency that I could possibly find in the phone book. And that's another joke I always make with the young generation. I go, yes, we used those back then.
What's a phone book?
Yeah. I ended up getting an agency, a little commercial agency it wasn't little, it was out of Beverly Hills. And I started auditioning. And just before I was getting ready to go into college after the summer, I had booked a national Pepsi commercial, a Nickelodeon show, and The Bold and the Beautiful. And obviously I had to choose what was going to be the best case scenario. And that was a contract role on a network television series.
Yeah. So I can't even imagine the thought process though, because as you said, and I cannot wait to hear about the music aspect, because I didn't know that it was music first really before the acting, but we'll get into that. So you decide to kind of, test the waters, see if this acting biz is for you. Not one, not two, here we are on the camera, but 3 offers come in at once. Were you a little blown away? I mean, what was your emotional take there?
Yeah, I was, because my mom was kind of hounding me. It was only a couple of months into actually auditioning for commercials and a couple of different shows. And she's like, when are you going to book something? I'm like, well, it's a little while. It doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
And then that happened. But I don't think I really understood the scale of things until I was a little bit older, because that's not a normal scenario. You don't just get an agency 3 months later, book a TV show. I mean, that's really, really, that's luck. That's just possibly good timing and maybe ever so slightly good instincts, because I was very, very green to TV and film. I had never studied TV and film. And that was like being thrown into the fire. But yeah, so it was a lot of luck. And I decided that, well, if this is going to be a possibility for me, then I'm going to dig my heels in and get into a class and study, and on top of that, work simultaneously.
You start this, and as you said, you weren't really trained. You were pretty green. 5 nominations, 1 Emmy win. You worked on Bold and the Beautiful. You worked on General Hospital, All My Children. What is mom saying about that? I mean, can't you get a job? What's taking so long? And the career that you've had, that has to be so awesome, especially for your family to be so proud of you, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. My parents, of course, were beside themselves that I was working, of course, and making a living, and also working with all these wonderful actors. My mom was a big soap fan, so for her it was a real dream come true for me as well. 2,000 episodes of soap operas, playing the patriarch's son on every show. So Luke and Laura's son, David Canary played Adam Chandler, his son, and also John McCook. I played Junior. It was always Junior, except that I went always by an alias. So I was the junior to all those great actors. I learned so much from being on all those shows with all those great actors and the guys, of course, that mentored me and played my father on all those shows. But the bottom line, though, for me was it wasn't about the fact that that work wasn't great, but the fact that artistically, that's all I had ever been doing. And I mean, yes, of course, I did Broadway and I did movies, a couple movies in between here and there, but I never really was able to explore those possibilities because I was always under a contract. And under contracts, you're very, very limited to any other outside work. So I decided to pull away from soaps and really pick and choose and try to audition for the things that I want to go out for, and try to get on some other projects producing wise.
You have some really cool things in the works. Some you can talk about, some you can't. So tell people who have missed seeing you on the regular basis what you're doing now.
Well, over the last few years, I've signed on to a couple projects with either mutual friends in the business. One, of course, was this film Prepare for Launch, which was a story of Apollo astronaut John Bull. It's a short. It's more of a proof of concept versus a full-length feature. But sometimes in order to get the financing for that kind of project, when you're dealing with major special effects and space, and it's hard to come by private funding. So you really are looking for distribution or a studio to get behind something like that. So that film is currently in multiple film festivals across the country. We're cautiously optimistic, but regardless, that was a really fun project, no matter where it goes from here. And then I've gone into business with my good friend Jason Cook, who, of course, anybody who does know soaps knows that Jason was on Days of Our Lives and General Hospital. But Jason is also a very talented director and screenwriter. And he got me involved in a project right in the middle of lockdowns in LA, just enough of a window. It actually worked out for us to just shoot this little gritty film called Four for Fun that he wrote. And it's just crazy conceptual. It's just a crazy concept of 11 different endings.
How many times has he painted this thing?
11 times.
Does it have a title?
Yeah, it's four for something. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
That film is also in the film festival world right now, but currently Jason and I are also in development with a major studio, and that's really not really something I could be talking about, but I can tell you that this is probably the largest project I've ever been involved with, or any kind of business outside of just working on a contract and a role. So it's a really wonderful feeling when you realize I don't have to try to audition for every single role because somebody's telling me to, or let alone maybe if I feel like I want to step away from that for a while, to still stay in the industry, but being behind the camera and still artistically telling the story.
Was there a moment that hit you after leaving the soap opera world, a moment where you thought, you know what, I know that I made the right decision?
Yeah. I think the moment I walked away, that was really, I mean, because it was artistically killing me inside. You really are pressed to perform at such a level so quickly that you really don't have time to smell the roses. So it constantly gave me anxiety. It constantly, gave me an upset stomach. Not that it wasn't something I couldn't handle, but I realized that it wasn't something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life and work under those restraints. And the moment I walked away, it was like I could totally breathe again. And I know that's what not all the fans want to hear, but for me, it was very liberating to not have to feel like I needed to show up so often and so quickly.
Yeah, no, and I can understand that. And I think all of your fans for all of those years, they can understand that as well, that we all go through those phases. We grow up, we mature, we graduate from different things in our life to hopefully go on to better things in life. So better in a way that better suits us for the time of life we're in. So I'm sure your fans are still loving you as they were in the soap opera world, as hopefully they will in following these projects. So let's talk about acting workshops and acting classes, because now you are on the other side of things. Tell us more about that, because I believe virtual classes involved as well.
Yeah, no, there's both. We have both virtual and workshops. We were just in Kentucky with a workshop out there. I'm teaching more about industry awareness, how to get into the business, how to sustain in the business, but also work on the chops for TV and film, so they have that. The big reward in this is we are working with the academies of Hampton in Hampton, Virginia, which is a division of Ford Next Generation Learning, which is an amazing grant program through Ford Motor Company. They literally are giving children the opportunities that they wouldn't normally have through vocational programs. Of course, these kids have to apply, even though they're from low income and inner city, schools. So I created a curriculum, a short film festival that they'll enter competition between the students. And they're really looking for something like this to explore, something that would integrate every aspect of what they're already learning. So if they're in their English literature class, they're going to be working on the synopsis for the film. Mathematics, they're going to be working on the budgets. For craft services on a set, the kids that are going into hosting and food, they're going to be required. And the great thing about a film set, which a lot of people don't know, is every single one of those jobs are separate unions or they're separate guilds that are offering benefits, that are giving these kids not only the artistic background, but also stability. When I was young, you're eager, you're excited, and you want to do great things. And so giving them that possibility to achieve what they think is the unachievable, it's really a great feeling inside. And I know they're going to get so much out of it.
And speaking of getting so much, actor, musician, you're a teacher, you also have this podcast. You basically talk to these amazing people that have amazing stories and a lot of hardship. And I love that you want to put that out there, not just for the sake of pushing out a story that's salacious and that people will want to hear, but because of what comes after. And I think there's so much beauty to hear how other people came through their tough time. Tell me what that's like. How'd that come to be? Because I know people will want to tune into that.
Well, I mean, as much as I don't know how I come across, but I'm an incredibly sensitive human being. And I'm sensitive to those things. I was in foster care as a child for a while. I've gone through the gamut as a kid, which probably is the reason why I'm so connected emotionally and why I've been able to excel in acting, because of being able to hide behind things. But really, I thought it was fascinating because a lot of people know all the accolades of what people have done, professionals in all industries. And what most people don't know is that there was a lot of hurdles that they've had to overcome in their lives. By presenting an open conversation with people, and some open up a lot more than others, of course, because it's not always easy to talk about, what was your mental health like at that point, or what are some of the obstacles that you've had to go through. There's definitely a lot less of the stigma that's gone around it. And I think that's what's really wonderful. And so people are really willing to open up to help each other.
That is wonderful. Wow. We covered a lot today, Jacob, but some may not be as familiar with your music career. And surprising to me, when I asked you the first question out of the gate, where did that acting bug kind of hit you, or when you talked about music? Let's get into that. Music.
Well, I grew up on a 300-acre ranch. We had pulled Hereford cattle on it, and my brother rodeoed, and I would go on jackpot rides with him when we were younger. So country music was always in our lives every single day. But as I got a little older and I was younger, I kind of moved away from country music. And I guess the very first time professionally I decided that I wanted to pursue it was I was signed to a record label in New York City with Danny Goldberg and Daniel Glass, major players in the music industry for years and years, from everybody from the Eagles to the Cardigans, 311, Jeff Buckley. And they believed in me. They signed me to a record label. So I went in shortly after that. When I met a lot of different producers, and I found one person I really liked. And we spent over a year developing the album. It was not cheap. I mean, they really wanted to dump some serious money into it. And I felt very honored that they wanted to work with me in that capacity. And we put together a very nice album. And we had already done a full United States radio tour. I had been everywhere from Florida to the Northwest. I literally crisscrossed this country. And I remember I was in New York City, and I was getting ready to catch my flight back to Los Angeles. And I'm walking out of one of the main buildings there, and I'm with Daniel Glass, and he wanted to introduce me to Scott Shannon. We had gone up there and Scott was out to lunch. So they were like, well, just drop it off. I remember coming through the doors of this major building, and Daniel and Scott run into each other. And Scott goes, who's this kid? He looks like he's Brad Pitt. And he goes, well, we just dropped off some music upstairs. Why don't you go ahead and check it out?
We could hear him say, life is good and that's no lie. Don't ask questions, baby, don't ask why. I won't trade places with no other guy because life is good.
Well, I literally jump at a town car and I head to JFK, and I had to be back on set to General Hospital the next day. And he went upstairs, listened to it right away, got on the phone with Daniel. He goes, I want to break this kid. And they called me at the airport and they said, don't get on that plane. And we'll work everything out. And I was like, well, I'm going to get fired from General Hospital. This is not going to be good.
Woo! So, what happens? Does Jacob not take the plane? Does he get his big record deal? Does he decide to take the plane, follow his country roots, and become a Bronco rider? Or does something crazy happen that I wish I had more time to tell you that is pretty ridiculous and that changed the course of his music career forever? I don't know, but I do. So I felt bad that I couldn't air that whole interview, but it's so much, and it's a little time consuming, but there's a lot there, and I didn't just want to cut it off. So here is what I'm going to tell you. Barbara, did you love it? He's great, right? So this is what we're going to do. This is why I'm so excited. We're going to take a lot of these interviews, and I know I've talked about this before because some of you want more, and I, for time purposes, can't air all of the interviews on this platform for the show. So I'm going back to slightly some of my older roots in that, not too old, about a year or two ago, when I started a podcast called Michelle Dawn Mooney Conversations. So what we're going to do is, starting this fall, actually starting next week, a lot of these interviews that you have seen and will continue to see on the Michelle Dawn Mooney Show will be featured as full-length podcast episodes for Michelle Dawn Mooney Conversations. So I'm hoping that we'll give the best of both worlds, because some people only can watch for a short time and some of you have to bounce in and out and only get 30 seconds here, 2 minutes there, and you watch later. And I'm just so happy that you're watching, period. But this way you can enjoy little snippets, little teases, little kind of morsels of whatever guest I have that week. And then if you would like to experience the full interview of, say, Jacob Young, you will be able to do so starting next week. We are going to have that on my website, on other social media platforms as well. So I'm excited because I know that you guys have been asking me about that, and I wasn't sure how to figure that out, because I'm like, well, if we just do audio, that's a lot less editing, it's a lot less time consuming, and everybody's like, video, video, video. So that means more work for the editing process, but I think in the long run, it's going to be a better piece of information that goes out there, because it's nice to see the person that you're hearing from. So I agree with you. I love the video aspect. I thank you for your patience, because it just is a little bit more time consuming, but I think this is going to hopefully make everybody happy with the short form and the long form. And I hated to cut that off. Like, what a cliffhanger. And when I tell you, seriously, I'm not just saying this in soap opera voice, it's a crazy story that Jacob has with his music, like crazy. First of all, when Jacob started talking about the podcast and we didn't get to get into, it's a lot of gets, a lot of getting there. We didn't get a chance to talk about something that is really near and dear to his heart, and that is Boys Town. And that is the reason why I really, really encourage you, when we have the full interview out there, to take a listen, take a watch to Jacob's full interview, because Boys Town is a tremendous organization. They are one of the sponsors for Jacob's podcast. And I really think, and I didn't know this was going to come out in the interview about him being in foster care for part of his childhood. You know, as you heard, he's a sensitive guy, big heart. And wait till you see his family. Oh my gosh, they're beautiful. He's married to a model and they've got 3 beautiful kids, and just Christmas card, like the type of family that you get in the picture frame. And some people just keep the picture in there because they're like, that looks good. That's them. They're like the picture frame type of family. So I'm really excited for you to hear that full interview. And as I said, I hated to cut it off there, but it gets really good and really interesting. And I think you're really going to enjoy it. So I know I'm a little bit off here. I have everything with my next scenes here, but I want to skip a scene because we do have a performance from Jacob coming up. I wanted to save that till the end. Isn't he just amazingly talented? Like, what can he not do? It's pretty ridiculous. So I want to share with you, before we go into the musical aspect of the show, this is one of my favorite recipes, and I think I've made it, I don't know, dozens of times. And I was making it the other day and I told my husband, I'm like, maybe I should share this. It's very simple. It's not like, you know, I'm inventing the wheel here, but if you have these ingredients on hand and if you're looking to get a little taste of summer to take into fall, I think this is a perfect way. This can go into lunch boxes, easy back to school, or for the adults, it can just go into your mouth. You don't even need a lunchbox. You can just eat it, and you don't have to be outside, and you don't need a grill. So what am I talking about? S'mores. It's a favorite summertime pastime. S'mores making, kind of. Sitting around the fire, roasting marshmallows and the graham crackers and the chocolate. So I actually have, I'm gonna play you a reel. I actually have a reel that I will have the full ingredients there. It's not rocket science, anything that I'm sharing here, but I thought you'd be interested in seeing what I have loved doing if I am not in the middle of summer. We don't have a campfire going. It just gives you a nice little taste of summer. So here is my favorite s'mores brownie recipes, and you can add and take away a few things, but here you go. I'm getting hungry already. See, that's it. That deserves applause. Where's my applause button? Something happened to my applause button. There's no applause. What happened to my applause? Guys, where's my applause? There's no applause. What happened? Oh, my sound effects is down. Wait, there we go. I don't know about you, but I really love that applause button. It really scared me when it went away. So easy peasy brownies. You can make any brownies. I use Duncan Hines. I'm having trouble talking this week. I use Duncan Hines. You can use Betty Crocker. You can use homemade. Homemade ones are ridiculous. I usually use the mini marshmallows. And what I do, sometimes I take the brownies out. I sprinkle chocolate chips as soon as they come out. When they're still warm, sprinkle the mini marshmallows and put them under the broiler. But it's, as I said, not rocket science. It's basically chocolate, marshmallows, and graham crackers. And you can put them in kind of any order, but I like to put the graham crackers on top so then it doesn't get gooey when you're touching them. So that's on social media, and I'll push that out and make sure that you guys can have the exact measurements if you need or want them. But I just put as many marshmallows, as many chocolate chips or chocolate bars as I want, and you're good to go. So, did you like that? Did you love Jacob? He's really such a great guy. I'm so grateful for him to give me his time. We had to kind of reschedule 1 or 2 times, but I'm really happy that it worked out. And I promise you, next week, starting on Tuesday, we will have Jacob Young as Conversations, Michelle Dawn Mooney Conversations. We're going to get that back up and running so you can hear all of the past longer interviews from the Michelle Dawn Mooney Show, and then the current guests that we have coming up. We have some good ones. You'll get to get the long form, I said that again. You'll get the long form and the short form, just kind of a tease on the show, and then you can, at your leisure, watch the long form in the format of podcast. You can watch it. It'll be on my website as well as YouTube and other social media aspects. And you can listen to it as a podcast if you would like just the audio as well. So I am going to now go to a really fun part of the conversation that I had to keep in, but I wasn't sure where we could do it because we kind of left you with a cliffhanger for the music aspect. So I think this will play perfectly you not knowing what happens, I think we're still good. And I want you to hear how this kind of went down with Jacob. Take a look. I want to ask this, and this may really put you on the spot. And you're probably going to say no, but I have to ask, as if I don't ask. So you told me when we talked about music, you said, well, Michelle, like, I've got this guitar. I still play it every day if we're in between a Zoom call. Is there any chance that you might play for us?
Oh my goodness.
I know that's a big ask. And if not, it's fine. And I'm not going to, I'll edit this out that I even asked you, but I just thought it couldn't hurt if you wanted to share some of your musical prowess. What's that?
I have to step back from there, but
yeah. I mean, seriously, only if you're comfortable. I'm not the type of person to put people on the spot, but I'm like, hey, if you're willing and able, I'm sure as heck gonna go for it.
I'll do a little. $2 to my name, even though I just got paid. Too much money at the end of the money for me. Yeah, beat up bucket of rust. Bank man might be looking for us. Around here, it ain't no BFD. 'Cause it's Friday night in the land of the free. So we circled up our trucks and we watched the planes go up. Worked all week, now it's time to play. And we passed the crown around. We rock out to that sound. A bow fish coming from a speaker on a bale of hay. And whoa, 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 that's all it takes to live and breathe, dream the American way.
Yay! Applause, 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 applause button. 2 applauses. Jacob, that was awesome. I loved it. And that's a lot to put somebody on the spot. And that's why I don't know if I should ask this, but I
was actually in the wrong key, but it's all right. I could hear it fine. So I was
it was fantastic. When you go into that upper range, I'm like, ooh, that's some good stuff.
Right now, for some reason, I'm a little, maybe it's from the travel or something, but my voice right now is a little, I could tell like the top end of my range is gone, but that wasn't even my top range. So
it sounded amazing. Now, do you write as well? Do you write?
Yeah, that's a song I wrote.
Wow. Just like that freeze frame me at the end. Wow. It was wow, right? Applause. I love this applause button. That was definitely wow worthy. And when I tell you, in the full interview that will be available for Michelle Dawn Mooney Conversations starting on Tuesday, you'll be able to find that. He actually sings with his daughter all the time, and they're the cutest family, so you definitely want to hear him sing with his daughter. It's just, he's so talented. I think we should get a duet. I'm gonna have to talk to Jacob, see if we can get a country duet whipped up here. I don't know. I'm thinking it could be fun. So I really hope you enjoyed that. And please, please, please follow Jacob on social media. He is Jacob Young, or Jacob W. Young. You can find him on Facebook and Instagram and pretty much all the social media platforms. And then on Instagram, he has a link tree where you can find all of the links to all the things that he's doing. And for anybody who is interested in acting out there, or knows somebody who does, or is interested, yes. Whew, I'm telling you, this week is off. Labor Day has labored my brain like overtime. But pretty interesting because they do virtual classes. So anybody that you know, and they're pretty affordable. It's not like it's going to break the bank. And how cool to, as Jacob said, to study from somebody who is actually in the business. So I thought that was really cool and very accessible to a lot of people. So I hope you enjoyed listening to him, and please look for his podcast, Real Conversations, also conversations in there, Real Conversations with Jacob Young. I will tell you, his latest podcast episode came out today, and you know who it is with? It is Greg Brady. That's right. Oh my gosh, I'm going to forget his name. Barry Williams, right? I'm going to look it up. Barry Williams, Greg Brady. I need to look this up. Please correct me if you're getting this before I do. Yes. Whew. Telling you, I have major brain fog. So Barry Williams is his guest from the Brady Bunch, and it's a really good interview. I'm actually only 75% through because I was busy making some final edits for this show, but really, really cool show. And as I said in the interview, he interviews these people that talk about some of the struggles that they've been through. And the really cool part is, how did they get through it? And I think it's so encouraging and so motivational for so many to look at these people that you think they have it all together and they don't. And it's like, well, what did you do? It's really cool to hear how people do that. And I think it's very inspiring for people who may be going through some trials and tribulations of their own. So thank you so much for joining me. Remember, you will be able to see or hear, listen, and view the full interview for Jacob Young next Tuesday on my website, michelledawnmooney.com. We are tweaking things there and upgrading there, so you'll have a lot more content there starting on Tuesday, next Tuesday. And then in the meantime, of course, you can follow me on social media. If you think somebody would enjoy this, please share. Sharing is caring. Let somebody know if you think this would be good for them to take a half hour out of their week and have something that doesn't kind of push the negative. We like to try to push the positive here. So hope you enjoyed that. I will be posting the recipe for the s'mores brownies, and I can't thank you enough for being here again for another week. I am so excited about September because a lot of cool things we're working on and want to give you more content and more things that hopefully you will enjoy. So thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will hopefully see you next week. Have a great night.
Want more MDM content? For more fun and exciting interviews, visit michelledawnmooney.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.